All right. This reading is for Aries Collective. So, Aries, let's just jump right into it. And let us see what is going to be your overall crowning sort of energy that you are pulling in. For the Aries Collective. All right, so the Leo sort of wants to come out, so we'll see what that's about. All right, then we've got the second house. All right. Well, so Aries, Leo is definitely a fellow elemental sign. Although of course it's a fixed sign, and so you're pulling in Sun Leo, and you also pulled in the second house, which actually is Taurus, and the second house has to do with values, assets, and possessions. And the sun sign itself, or the sun vibration, represents our vitality. It represents, our life force, sort of like the major, maybe most dominant vibration in one's, if you look at your birth chart, like maybe the most powerful or the most presenting or forthcoming, which represents our, vitality basically. And this is what you're sort of pulling in, Aries, at this time around. But we're still going to get clarifiers to see like in what ways this is working out, and maybe this will also confirm the downloads that I'm maybe getting with regard to the combinations or the main overall energies that you're pulling in here. But with pulling this, also indicates to me a recharge. Like, this could be a period of, recharge. What are we now? At the time of this recording, we're in Gemini. We're in Gemini season. So you could be, maybe working. We just came out of Taurus season funny enough, so you may have been working on your assets or your possessions or your values, just maybe strengthening all aspects of your life that has to do with, possessions, finances, and maybe all things related to that aspect, right? Because that's what the second house represents. And so the combinations of these two coming together also indicates to me that you could be trying to shed more light, because you were looking at the sun vibration and we're looking at it from the perspective of Leo, right? So you could be trying to bring more light to certain things about your second home. So you could be trying to shed more light on your finances, or you could be trying to shed more light on your values or your possessions. If, let's say, this is something to do with like a relationship or relationships or partnerships with people, you could maybe be trying to assess, like, the different things and different values about people to see if they are in alignment with maybe your future aspirations. But really the bigger thing that I'm getting here is just sort of giving life or bringing light or giving energy or your vitality to the things of your second house vibrations. That's really what I'm getting. I'm really just getting a strong emphasis on possessions, a strong emphasis on like assets. And if you're like an investor, like if you're, you invest in different businesses, or you invest your money or your resources in certain different projects, I'm also getting that this could be a time where you are really kind of looking at like nitpicking and kind of looking at all of those different aspects or different projects that you're working on with a much more brighter lens, like a much more clearer, lens, kind of bringing everything to the light, and to sort of see what has worked and what has not worked, or moving forward, what is more to be emphasized in terms of maybe your values, your possessions, and so forth, and your assets, like which would be better businesses, but better companies to sort of invest in, like going into the future. So there's a lot of that here. But also for others of you, it could be like a replenishing, where if you've been working really hard, especially during the, previous season, Taurus season that just passed, this also could be just about recharging, sort of kind of refilling on your vitality, refilling on your energy. So it could also be sort of like, getting rest. Some of you may have worked in a very competitive industry. Maybe you work in the corporate sector, and it could be something that's very competitive, very just very demanding perhaps, and there may be a need to sort of also pull back a little bit and just get some rest. Yeah. Well, the Leo itself also is a sign that is very passionate, it's very ambitious, it's very bold and very strong, in its persuasions, and in kind of like going for the things that it desires and that it wants. But with that also comes a little bit of a stubbornness, or, because it is a very fixed vibration, so you may also be challenged during this. At the time of watching this, God has brought it into your alignment, or you want to look at it as the universe, that maybe this is a message you needed to hear at the time of you coming across this, right? And maybe what God is trying to get you to see here is, if this element of fixation or being fixed, or maybe being stubborn with regard to certain things, it may also be an opportunity for you to sort of really assess, like in terms of your values, in terms of your assets and your possessions, what are maybe certain things that you're holding on to, or certain fixations that you have, or certain things that you're just so headstrong and so fixed about that maybe it hinders growth in certain other areas of your life. Which is funny, because now as I'm saying this, they're making me look at the deck again, and when I look at the deck, I see we have here the fourth house, right, which is about roots and home and family. So this also could be a thing of like, if you've been working really hard and you haven't had the, you could be so fixated on getting a certain outcome, or getting a certain amount of level of, attain a certain level of possessions or assets, that it compromises maybe on family time, or your, home alone time, or, like your moments to replenish yourself, so to speak. So this also could be an invitation for you to look at what are certain things maybe that you are so headstrong about, that you're so fixed upon, that may present themselves as minor little obstacles or challenges to maybe a bigger vision that you may have. All right, so that's what I'm getting here. But let's just, to wrap this up, because I want to keep this really short for now, let's just see what the tarot is gonna, whether it will support the messages that I'm kind of getting here, or if something new will emerge from it. And again, this is for the Aries. All right, so let's see what we have here. Okay, yeah, we've got the Ace of Cups reversed. Let's pull one more. Yeah, so I mean, the Ace of Cups is an interesting one, because it presents a new opportunity. It presents a new opportunity. It presents, it's like an offer. It's an offer being made, that you're being given, right? That God is presenting to you, or if you want to look at it as the universe, that the universe would want to present you with something, right? To sort of fill your cup, right? And maybe an answered prayer, right? That God or universe is trying to fill your cup or answer a certain prayer. But if you have a fixation, or you have, I don't know, as they were saying, right? Something that maybe you're fixated on doing something a specific way that it doesn't, you don't hear the prayer, or you don't see the results, right? Or something that you're fixated on takes away from spending quality time with yourself, or with your family, or with your friends, or working on other aspects of your home, right? Or your family, or roots, things of that nature. So this just shows exactly what they were saying, that like this maybe is an invitation for you to also kind of reflect and pour and rest, pour into yourself, improve your vitality. So it's like, God is like trying to say, take a break. Or if you don't take a break and you're working too hard and you're so focused on your values and your assets and your possessions, that you could be overworking yourself, or you could be overdoing, and you may not hear the signs, or you may not get the prayer answered, because you could be doing a lot, or you could be fixated on doing something a specific way that's not yielding the results that you would desire, right? And so then it may look like you're not getting your blessings, or that God is not blessing you, or that God is not answering your prayer, but it may just be that you need to take a rest. They're saying to look at the bottom of the deck. Yeah, yeah, I think it's definitely also being, doing more, or doing a lot, and feeling that like your ships are not coming through, or if a lot of things are coming through, not really having the ability to discern like where to invest, or where to take, or where not to take, or which to, to take through, right? Because one thing with the Three of Wands is like, you're looking at your ships coming, but like for those ships to come, for those blessings to come, right? For God to fill your cup and answer your prayers, have you created the room? Back to home, right? Have you created the room? Have you created the space for that thing that you're asking for to come through, right? So if you're asking to get a certain amount of, salary, or you're asking to, you're investing in something, and, like to get a certain outcome out of it, or it's a relationship that you're pursuing, but the question is like, are you making room for that? Are you making space for that, so that God can pour into your cup, right? So it's not that the stuff won't come through, because they said to look at the bottom of the deck, and we have here the Three of Wands, which indicates that, your ships potentially could come. But the thing is, do you have room for God to provide those blessings? Have you created space, whether emotionally, whether financially, whether mentally, whether physically, for that thing to actually have space in your life, right? And if you haven't done that, then there's the risk, and there's the chance that it may then come across that something as not an answered prayer, right? And so that's why we have the Ace of Cups here being reversed. And so this is important for you to take all of this into consideration, as this is the energy that you're kind of, pulling in. And maybe God, the universe, is giving you a time frame where this is something that maybe you want to kind of think about, kind of reflect about, so that by Leo season, there may be a shift, right? Because now we're in Gemini, so you have like the whole Gemini season, you have the whole Cancer season, and then Leo season comes about, right? So that maybe these are little changes that you may need to implement one bit at a time, or do some sort of introspection or reflection, so that when this Leo season comes about, maybe something is going to click, or something is going to align, and you'll be like, aha, so this was what this was about, or this is the area where I was overexerting myself, or this is the area where I could have done a little bit more, or this is the area where I could have pulled back a little bit more, and now I see how God was trying to connect and piece everything together, right? So I'm feeling like something like that for you, Aries. But that's all. Trying to keep this ones not too super long. So this is kind of like the vibe I'm getting, like, we can just maybe call this like a vibe check. And so this is kind of what I'm picking for you at this time. And so whenever you find it, I will probably put some timestamps and stuff, but or like monthly or weekly timestamps on it. But like whenever you come across it, maybe like, just maybe God favoring you to hear it at that particular time. So all the best, and I'll see you in the next one.